Good day, everybody. Bob Walton with Inside919.com, EXP Commercial, ROI Commercial Realty. Today we are visiting with Whitney Hill. Whitney, I'd like you to introduce yourself and just tell our listeners who you are, what you're about, and what you were trying to accomplish this year.
Thanks, Bob. Well, the big thing that is happening this year is I made a decision to run for Raleigh City Council. There were a number of reasons for this, but number one was I was just looking at overall how the city council was operating, and I just didn't see that they were operating in the best interests of the citizens. There seems to be an agenda that they're running under that really seems to be on the side of developers and on outside interests on where the community is going. I really see the city council as being something that is supposed to be there for the citizens. The city council needs to negotiate with developers and corporations moving into the area and that type of thing, and do it in a manner that is they're operating in the interest of the citizens, not the outside interests. So that was probably the main reason why I ran that, and the fact that law enforcement, as the police and firefighters, really haven't been supportive by the city council. They've let especially the police dwindle. We were at a point where we were operating 170 police officers short. They've given them raises now and everything, but I think it even goes deeper than just the money and what they're making in comparison to the other cities in Wake County. So those are things that were important to me on coming into this.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been in Raleigh, and what you've been doing while a citizen here?
So I'm going to leave it at this and say I've been in Raleigh for decades. I went to school at NC State, graduated in computer science, and I was in the corporate world for about 14, 15 years. Most of my career there was with Nortel, where I sort of worked up into management. And when I left Nortel, I still did some consulting out in the corporate realm after that. Mm-hmm. I sort of went into private business. The first 5 years I was in landscape maintenance business. I bought an existing business, built it up and sold it. But then I did some corporate consulting while I was getting a web marketing business that I still run today, Carolina Web Consultants. Works with web marketing for small local businesses. A number of the clients I serve are what I call blue collar businesses. They provide services for homeowners. So that's pretty much the last 25 years has been my focus, is working in that realm. I also do some contract work with contract sales with a merchant services business, and they're sort of all tied together.
Got it. Great. So what are the hot issues, key issues that you decided to run on? I know you touched a little bit on crime and interests of the council towards businesses and development, but what do you see are the hot points and the issues that affect, the average citizen in North Raleigh?
Well, one I haven't mentioned that I'm out there and I'm knocking on doors. I've knocked on over 200 so far, looking to do 2,000 before Election Day. I think that's a really attainable goal. And what I'm finding, besides promoting myself, is that I'm really finding out what's on the hearts and minds of the citizens, what's important to them. And people are concerned about the rapid, uncontrolled growth that's going on. Look, I'm all for corporations moving in here, but they need to do it on our terms. And they need to, we need to have them paying their fair share. Taxes shouldn't be going up as we're growing. We should be getting economies of scale. Mm-hmm. So I'm concerned about that. People's property taxes going up because the housing market is being priced up, and the other side effect of rapidly property values going up very quickly is that pushes people into apartments who are moving into the area, and then pushes that has a sort of domino effect. It pushes people out the bottom end of the market, and that creates homelessness or people having to move to outer line areas. And of course, the outer line areas are going to be able to absorb so much of that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then when you have uh, lower level income people moving out to get housing outside the area, if they're working in Raleigh, now they got to drive in. So now we have more traffic problems. They're paying $4 a gallon for gas, and so the these are things that are really affect us. Listen, I'm all for businesses moving in here, but they need to do it on our terms. I don't feel like the city council's negotiating on the for the citizens. They're really more representing the special interests right now.
What would you define as a special interest group?
Well, I think when big corporations move in here and the deal's all set up for them, and our taxes are being raised, that's what I consider a special interest.
Okay.
Listen, I'm all for business. I'm very pro business, but the city council is supposed to be representing the interests of the overall public.
Right. Well, I know small and micro businesses are near and dear to both of our hearts. Inside 919 is how we met. Could you speak a little bit on how you would be supporting smaller and local Raleigh businesses?
Having a robust local economy is obviously good for small business. I mean, when corporations move in here, okay, that brings more money in, and that should be good for small business. One thing that just has come up is about zoning, and the city's sort of been flexible about what being able to run a business out of your house, on opening up that a little bit in certain situations for people to be able to run an actual retail business out of their house. You have to be careful about doing this because some types of businesses can bring in so much traffic that causes problems and that type of thing. But that would be one area I'd look at to be able to do. Promoting organizations like BNI that do networking.
Right.
Getting this, personally, that I've been involved in BNI for years. Other networking events, the chamber, those types of things. Being involved at interfacing with the leadership in those organizations and the people in those organizations and getting feedback on what's important to them relates to decisions that are getting made in city council. And since I've been a small business guy myself, I understand how the small business person thinks and what's important to them. And as decisions come up that are being made in city council, I can weigh that in there. Just in general, what BNI does, and there's other groups that do this, is sets up groups of salespeople and small business people that they meet once a week and exchange referrals on business, and they also help each other in a whole lot of other ways. But generally, most of the people who are in these small business networking groups are working together to help each other expand their businesses through their sphere of influence. BNI and other leads groups and networking groups are really sort of the hub of how business and referrals getting done in the community.
Right. Whitney, would you mind what can you share about your opponent and what distinguishes you from that person?
Well, I've got two opponents. Kat Lawson is a lawyer and uh, a professor over at Duke Law School. Um, and I don't think would have the type of perspectives that I do on small business and having operated in the community this long and that type of thing.
Right.
The other person, Mary Black, is I guess defines herself as being an activist, um, and um, representing uh, some people in the community that are concerned about social issues and that type of thing. I bring a perspective of wanting to see the whole community do well, and we do need to help certain groups of people, especially in a volatile um, environment that we are with the rapid growth and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, but I prefer to see that done by the city council managing the overall city properly, and not just creating a massive problem and then having to come in and bail people who have been able to take care of themselves. Affordable housing is something I'm learning about. Ideally, we want to have a balanced community. I want to have a healthy community that is going to have the balance and everything, so that people don't get pushed out on the street.
Right. So, Whitney, I understand that the city of Raleigh just recently raised property taxes in your area to, I believe, support pay raises for police. What is your stance on that? How should taxes be handled, and what would you be contributing if you were to be elected?
I was all for the increase for the first responders. It needed to be done, especially with the police, because we were at the bottom of the list as in comparison to the other local areas, and we were losing uh, people over to those areas. Uh, Raleigh police have the toughest job. Firefighters have the toughest job, obviously, and so those raises were necessary to stop the drain out of the police department. They deserve to get paid, the tops in the area, and that should be an ongoing thing. They raise taxes to pay for that, but here's my view on this: is that we need to eat our meat and potatoes before we eat the dessert. Things like city employees and especially first responders, those things should be at the front of the budgeting process and not held hostage to a tax increase. So we get the basics done first, and then we talk about the parks and recreation and these extra things. And if we need to do a tax increase for those, well, I'm not in favor of doing that. We need to stay within our means. Tax revenues are going up simply because property values are going up and
Hmm.
because of inflation. I mean,
Right.
the cost of living increases for our employees and that type of thing based on the increased tax revenues that come in from that. So we shouldn't have to have a tax increase to fund the basics in the city. And in fact, as the city grows, more people move in, tax revenues increase from more population coming in, that type of thing. We should be able to actually get better economies of scale as we're managing the city properly.
Great. What about infrastructure development and parks, recreation, things like that? Where do these fit in?
I'm a big guy who really likes the greenways. Those are tremendous. I use them. I ride my bike out there, but I want to see them properly maintained. And I think we might be overbuilding. Of course, that's also a county thing too. Uh, we need to really look at what it takes to maintain these properly. The bridges on some of these have not been, weren't built well. And so we have a really bad rain come in. And so, then the bridge gets washed out. And I mean, some of them are just really rickety. They weren't built right in the first place.
Yeah.
But we don't want to overbuild our ability to be able to maintain these two. It's been a big issue out at Shelley Lake. There's been a lot of trash out there for a while. And then one citizen stepped up and went in there and cleaned it up. Well, that's really great, and citizen participation on keeping our roads and parks clean is really great. But if we just had a few more trash cans out there, and for example, the picnic area there that overlooks the lake doesn't have a trash can anywhere close to it, and I'm sure we spent some good money to have that designed and everything else, and someone's probably got an explanation as why we don't have a trash can at the picnic area. There's trash cans out there, but there's not one at the picnic area.
Right.
And so, just little things like that. But maintaining our, we don't want to overbuild to where we aren't able within our means to maintain these areas properly, and we don't want to overbuild it.
Right. Great. Well, I think we're getting near to the end of our time, Whitney. How can folks get in touch with you and be helpful and supportive of your campaign?
Well, the number one way is we need money for signs and door hangers and those type of things. My committee is operating as volunteers. So anything there, go to whitneyforraleigh.org, and there's a big red donate button there. If you'll click on that, and donations of any size to the campaign are great. That's number one. If you're interested in volunteering, there is a webpage there that you can send a message. Those all come straight to me, and we need folks to do all sorts of things. The more volunteers we have come in, and you can come in and put in as much as you want to as far as time. We've got places that we can use you. Getting the message out there to your friends and telling them what we're doing and what we're standing for. And number one thing being keeping the community healthy with first responders and city services, living with our means with taxes and those type of issues, and the fact I support small business, getting the word out for us, and even pushing the website out through your social media would and showing your support that way. That's a really simple thing. Sign up for our YouTube channel, and we're putting up regular YouTubes there where I'm just talking about local businesses and also talking about the issues and that type of thing. Sign up for that and get those. Those videos are generally real short, and I hit a subject area there, and it's a good place to keep up with what we're talking about.
Is there any parting words that you have for us before we go? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I've been out there knocking on doors, and I'm really finding out. And of course, my district is in North Raleigh, so I'm talking to those people.
That's District A.
District A, and this has been educational for me. I'm really finding out what's important to folks in North Raleigh. It's extremely educational. I'm glad I'm doing it, and looking to close with hitting the 2,000 doors myself personally. And there'll be other volunteers out there that will be knocking on doors and promoting our campaign and everything. But that 2,000 doors is a really important aspect to what we're doing for me, because I'm able to connect and find out what's really important to citizens.